Welcome to Senior Circuit. We're so glad to have you here with us today. We're doing our first cooking show. So today with me is Jennifer Olsen, who's our nutritionist, and Christopher Kowaleski, who's our health and wellness coordinator. And we're so happy to have them both here today. And Jennifer is going to teach Chris and I how to cook. Boy, that's going to be a difficult challenge.
Good luck.
And I'll let you tell us what we're having today.
Great. Okay, so we're having Mediterranean quinoa shrimp. If you have your Council on Aging newsletter for October, you can open it up and follow along with us. There's recipe, ingredients, and instructions right here, so feel free to pull it out, and then you can work along with us as we go through the recipe today.
We certainly want you to make the meal with us, and that's why it was in the October newsletter. And we're going to show you step by step how to make this great meal. So Jennifer, what's the first thing we're going to do today?
So right now we have some water boiling. We need to take our quinoa and we need to let it boil for about 15 minutes. The reason we're doing this recipe is because we talked to participants down at the center and asked them what they really struggled with in terms of cooking any types of foods. They didn't really understand the process, and quinoa was hands down the biggest thing people have trouble with. So quinoa is technically a seed, but we eat it like a grain, and we cook it much the same as we do brown rice. One of the benefits of quinoa is that it's a complete protein. Most of the complete proteins are meat and dairy based, so for vegetarians it can be hard to get a lot of good quality protein, but quinoa actually fits that bill, so it's a really good food to have once you know how to cook it. So I'm going to take a cup of this and I'm going to put it in our 3 cups of boiling water behind scenes here. And while I'm doing that, we need to chop up some of our garlic for the dressing we're going to be using today. So while I'm doing the quinoa, Chris, do you want to take 3 cloves of garlic and chop them up for me, please?
Sure.
For the garlic, doesn't really matter how much you chop it up. If you get it really small, you get a lot more juice in there, but whatever you're happy with is fine. If you like the big chunks, that's great.
So while Chris is chopping up our garlic here, I'm going to give him a plate. We're going to talk a little bit about our health fair that's coming up, since we're cooking so healthy, and we'll have a cooking demonstration hopefully that day as well. Christopher, tell us a little bit about the health fair. Who can we expect to see?
So the Health and Wellness Fair is on October 20th from 10 to 12 in the morning. And we have a main speaker, and we're going to be talking about stroke. What stroke is, signs and symptoms of stroke, and exactly, we're going to just look and talk about what exactly is a stroke. We work with a lot of older adults who, most people know someone who may have had a stroke. Some people have had strokes. And I know some participants I've seen, they've had strokes. So it's a really important thing to talk about. And it seems to be, happening a little bit more and more. So that is one of the things that we're going to be really looking at our Health and Wellness Fair is stroke. But then, like all our annual Health and Wellness Fairs, we have quite a few vendors coming in. We're going to have the flu shots again this year, so we'll have a flu clinic.
And it will be the high-dose flu shot. So please ask your doctor before you come if that's what he wants you to have, is the high dose. So while we're grinding that, Jen, what's the next step that we're going to be doing here?
Sure. So we're making the dressing. So right now Chris is going to be dicing up 3 cloves of garlic. It's 2 or 3 in the recipe, but I like it real heavy garlic, so we're going to throw an extra one in there. Going in with that, we have the olive oil, balsamic vinegar, and then we also have some spices. We have thyme and basil. If you like your herbs fresh and you want to pull them out of the garden, that's completely fine, whatever your preference is. And we're just going to pour all these together, and then I'm going to whisk them together real fast, and that's going to be the dressing that we're going to be using. And then we'll just set it aside when we're done.
Now, the title has Mediterranean in the, title. Is this related to the Mediterranean diet?
Yeah, so this is one of the other reasons I chose this recipe is because people want to eat more seafood, but they struggle to know how to cook seafood. I'm really not sure why, but it's the same in my household too. Maybe because fish just really isn't that big in the States. But most of us know how to cook salmon, and then we kind of taper out there. So I wanted to do something that had that Mediterranean flavor, because Mediterranean people tend to eat a lot of fish. And people know that the Mediterranean diet is much healthier, and there's a lot of reasons for that. One of them is the fact that they eat a lot more fish, but they also consume much more olive oil, which is why you can see we have olive oil today, as well as actual olives going into this dish. And then we're combining it with the shrimp for a little extra protein kick and some omega-3s, all of which are really healthy. And then we threw in some feta cheese, which is quintessentially Mediterranean, so you kind of really get the whole feel for the area in this recipe.
And the nice part about this recipe is it's only about 550 calories per serving, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's low calorie, but very tasty. You have a little bit of everything in there, some red pepper, some onions, mushrooms, not mushrooms, garlic. We have arugula, chickpeas.
Yeah, you know, and it really is a salad. People get confused when they hear salad because they automatically think that it's a side instead of a main dish. But it doesn't have to be. Realistically, half of your plate every meal should be vegetable based. And you should have a little protein and then a little bit of grain. And we're really kind of pulling that together in this dish because it's very healthful. There's a lot of fiber. There's a lot of great nutrients in it. Even though it is technically a salad, there's a lot going on.
So how much basil are you putting in?
You know, I want to say there's an exact measurement. I'm just shaking it until I'm happy.
But the recipe calls for?
The recipe calls for, it doesn't. It
Okay.
really just is a little shake. If you need a measurement, I would say aim for about a tablespoon of each, but it's dependent on your taste. If you really don't like the taste of thyme, if it's too strong for you, then, you know, minimize it as much as possible. But in the dressings, you're really just going mostly olive oil, and then you're going to put a little bit of the balsamic vinegar, a little bit of herbs, and a little bit of garlic. How are we doing over there?
We're doing
Pretty
really
good.
good on the garlic.
Yeah?
Boy,
All right,
he's,
toss
you
that
can
bad boy
smell
in.
that right in there.
Beautiful. Yeah, and then we're just going to whisk this together. You don't really need a whisk, just use a fork and just get it all good and combined. And then we're going to set it aside while we cook everything else.
And I'll be your lovely assistant and do that.
Thank you.
Set it aside.
Okay, so our quinoa is still cooking, probably for another 10 minutes. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work on our vegetables. We're going to saute these together, and then from there we're going to throw the shrimp in with them. So right now we got to chop up some veg. If one of my lovely assistants
Absolutely.
would like to do that.
Okay. So which are we cutting up first for you? The peppers?
Yeah, the pepper would be great. Just you want to cut them in nice, thin, long pieces. It really doesn't matter how you cut them up. I like them to be really fine so that they get soaked in with the olive oil and all the other juices easily. If you like your vegetables to have a little bit of crunch when you're cooking with them, make them a little thicker so that they don't cook all the way through. One of the things that people don't realize when you cook is that it's best to use your vegetables when they're almost completely fresh, which is hard because a lot of times the best part of sauteing or barbecuing something is to get that really crunchy black outer layer on there, which actually isn't very healthy and is completely devoid of nutrients. So when you cook, you want to just lightly saute them so that they still got a little bit of that freshness in there so we don't lose all the nutrients while we're cooking them.
Now, how many fruits and vegetables or vegetables are we supposed to be getting a day?
So it really depends on, if your fruits and vegetables together, you want to strive for 5 of them, but 5 to 9 really is what's ideal. If you're eating 50% of your plate fruits and vegetables, that should be very easy to achieve. But most people in the States don't actually get that many. We tend to eat a lot of processed foods, we eat out a lot, and when we eat out, it usually comes sandwiched between 2 pieces of bread. So the majority of our meal ends up being a carbohydrate and something that's not exactly fresh. So when we're cooking at home, always imagine that plate. And when you're looking at the plate, whole 50% of it should be fruits and vegetables. One section should be a protein, the other section should be a grain, like quinoa.
And the other thing, last night I was out to dinner and I had a hamburger on a lettuce bed. So I had, instead of having bread, because I'm trying to be better, I used lettuce.
And that's wonderful. I call them naked burgers. You just omit the bread and then you can wrap it up in some type of vegetable and you're still getting that really satisfying feeling of biting into a sandwich, but you're getting a lot of extra fiber as well, which is great. Okay, and then we're going to chop up, thank you, the purple onion as well. So here's the thing. When we go to the supermarket, people tend to buy the same 3 fruits and vegetables week in and week out, and if you do that, it's fine, but you're going to be getting the same nutrients week in and week out. So when you go to the supermarket, number 1, you want to try and get something with the most color possible. So for onions, we have a lot of options, but we want to go for the deep purple. Classically, the deep pigmentation means that you're getting more nutrients and more beneficial health things out of this. So if you have the choice between a sweet onion and a purple onion, you want to go purple. If it's a white potato or a sweet potato, which is very orange, you want to go the sweet potato. Try and choose things that have the most color because you're going to be getting more out of them. Just something to keep in mind.
Now, how many will this dish, if you follow directions in the newsletter, how much will this serve?
It'll serve 4 people, but if you buy things in bulk and you like to make them make your food one day so you can eat it throughout the week, you can actually double up on the recipe and then freeze them. What a lot of people in the nutrition class say that they do is that they put them in Tupperwares and then they keep them throughout the week so that every time they're hungry, if they want lunch, they just grab one of those pre-made Tupperwares right out of the fridge. Thank you.
Am I cutting that lemon?
No, not yet. Thank you. Yeah, so what we've got now, we've got our pan, and we're just going to lightly saute. So I'm going to use a little bit of olive oil. People always question olive oil because they're not sure whether or not they should be cooking with it, if they should be putting it on salads. But olive oil is a really, really great oil, has a lot of those great healthy, unsaturated fats for you. So you can saute with it. You just don't want to fry with it because if you make it too hot, it damages the oil. So we're going to put this on our stove. I'm going to go around here, and then we're going to throw in our onion and our red pepper, and we're just going to saute them until they're translucent, until they're a little bit soft but still a little bit crunchy.
And then she'll take her.
Now, is there a difference? You know, I've gone to the grocery store before, and I go to the olive oil section, and there seems to be like 1,000 olive oils.
Mm-hmm.
Does it matter?
It depends what you're using them for. So, for example, my dad loves to buy the extra virgin olive oil, and there's a good reason for that. Extra virgin is the purest and the cleanest and the highest quality olive oil that there is. However, it's not very good for sauteing because the level at which olive oil smokes is a lower temperature than some other oils. So if you're going to use it for sauteing, you can use something like canola oil or high heat avocado oil. Otherwise, when you cook it, if you put it to too high of a heat, it'll start to smoke and it'll damage the oil. So extra virgin is really great for pouring over salads and for tastings or dipping your bread in. Otherwise, the lower levels are virgin olive oil and then just regular plain olive oil. But if you're looking for high quality, extra virgin is the way to go. If you're going to be doing some high heat cooking, try canola oil or something different that has a much higher heat specification. Oh, it's already hot. That's great. Yeah, so we're going to throw these in.
And we're adding the red pepper and the purple onion in right now to saute. Ooh, you can hear that already. It's gonna be
sound.
it's gonna smell great.
It does smell good.
At home, if you're cooking with us, you're experiencing the same kind of smell that we are. And it's just great to smell the peppers and the onions and the olive oil all mixed together. It's really good.
If you like your garlic, again, you could always throw some garlic in with this as well. I'm of the mind in my household where if there isn't garlic in every single component of the meal, it's been a wasted meal. So
Yeah.
again, you can feel free to experiment, add anything you want. If you think it's going to taste good, I'm sure it will. Feel free to modify it as much as you want.
Now, is garlic healthy for you?
Sure, garlic has a lot of compounds in it that are very beneficial. Much like a lot of other things in your diet, it gets a lot of good street cred when it comes to newspaper reports and studies. That including it is definitely a good idea. Oh, thank you.
So this is a great part of the show where we're actually, if you're not working at home with us and doing the recipe with us, write down what we're doing so that you have it step by step. It's usually the best way to learn, and I know for me, taking it piece by piece and breaking it down and how to saute it and cook it and how long really does help.
Yeah, this is actually a very quick meal to make. Once you get all the pieces together, it can be done in less than 20-25 minutes. And you have a quick dinner that you can easily save throughout the week.
Now, this looks like a good meal if you have, I mean, of course, if you're just by yourself, it seems like it's easy to make.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, it feels like it would be a good meal if there's 2 people.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of a fun meal, it seems like, just if you invite a friend over and, you know, cook dinner for the evening.
Yeah, it's very fresh. So for example, if you live alone and you don't like to make a lot of food and you don't have the space in your fridge, what a lot of participants in the nutrition class tell me is that they go to the supermarket and they buy bulk fruit and vegetables and then they split them with their neighbor or with their friend so that you get the cheaper prices of buying in bulk, but you don't have to worry about storing them or about the food going bad. which is a great system. So because we have a lot of food waste in this country and a lot of hungry people in the world. So if you can actually manage the food quantities better, it's better for everyone.
And if you don't want to go to the grocery store, the nice part is right up front on Fridays from 11 to 1 is the farmer's market. And they have the best, right from the farm. They picked it that morning. You get downstairs and you grab that onion or grab that pepper or cucumbers or whatever it is. It's really, last week they were late because they were waiting for the farm.
It's actually a great little mobile market, that Holland Street
It's a great
Center.
mobile market.
You know, they have nice fruits and a lot of vegetables, quite
Some
a bit
fruit.
of fruit. You know, it depends upon the time of year. I know peaches did not go well this year, but you know, apples are great, but they have great vegetables there.
And if you're trying to plan your week, the mobile market actually has a list of all their upcoming produce online that you can take a look for, and you know what they should be expecting to have at the market, so that if you want to plan a recipe or figure out the rest of your shopping list, you can actually see what's going to be coming in, and you can work around that.
And it really has been a great collaboration between Shape of Somerville and ourselves. To be able to, the folks are able to walk downstairs, buy their groceries or the fruits and vegetables, and come back upstairs, get a ride home, and boom, they're ready. They can even have some dinner, getting ready. Yeah, all the ingredients for dinner.
No, it's nice that it's just right there. You can just walk right down. I know periodically, I go down and I always look every week.
So now we're going to just wait for this to cook a little while longer. Chris, could you do me a favor?
Yes.
And cut one of those lemons in about 4 pieces. And what we're going to do when that's ready is we're going to take the lemon and we're going to squeeze all the juice in here with the shrimp. If you're at home and you like to use lemon zest, which I like to, it's actually the scraping of the outside of the lemon, and it adds a lot of flavor. If you've ever had really good quality New York cheesecake, that little extra kick and that little extra secret ingredient is actually lemon zest, and it adds a lot of good flavor. Thank you.
So can I help you here?
Yeah, you feel free to squeeze them right in.
Oh, that smells so good.
That's good stuff. So if you're trying to do your lemon zest at home, if you have a cheese grater, that would be wonderful. It's the easiest way to actually grate the skin, or you can take the rough side of a serrated knife and actually scrape it. It's easier if you do this onto a plate, but I'm just gonna do a little ceremonial stuff in here. I'm not gonna scrape the whole lemon, but just so you can see, it adds a lot of really good complexity to the meal.
And if you're cooking at home, the smell is out of this world. If you're not, make this recipe because it will, my mouth is watering, it smells so good.
Now, does lemon juice have any benefit, nutritional value?
I mean, lemon juice, much like any other fruit, is mostly just sugar. But all fruits and vegetables have benefit. And I mean, they're different depending on whichever one it is. So there definitely are benefits to it. I wouldn't go out and drink a whole cup of lemon juice, but when you're cooking, it can make the taste much more robust because it adds a little bit of a fresh kick to it. And it reminds me of summer. A lot of my summer recipes include lemon juice just because you don't have to add sauces to really get a deeper flavor. You can just add a little bit of lemon. Actually, I like to do that in my water as well. A lot of people have they struggle to cut sugar out of their life, especially if they're drinking a lot of sugar-sweetened beverages. And lemon is one of those great ways to get a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of flavor without getting 20 teaspoons of sugar, which is what you get if you buy a lemonade or a lemon iced tea in the supermarket. It's a nice little way to just get a little bit of kick without all the damage of the sugar.
And with winter and fall upon us, it really is a nice time to put a little bit of lemon instead of sugar in your tea. For all those teetotalers like me, it's like I really enjoyed having my fresh lemon every day.
Oh yeah, I do it every morning too. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the shrimp. The recipe calls for about 1 pound of shrimp. This is about 2 pounds, so we're going to half it. We've taken the tails off and we've defrosted them. If you're weary about defrosting shrimp, it's really quite easy, which is why we chose this. First of all, shrimp is very cheap compared to other types of seafood. You can buy it in a 2-pound bag from Market Basket, and it comes frozen. And it doesn't
any store.
Or any store. It doesn't take long to actually defrost it. You can just run it under water for about 10 minutes and it thaws them out. And we're just going to add about half of this.
Now, does the shrimp count make a difference? You always see on like a shrimp package, 40, this one says 41 to 50 count. Does that or size make a difference?
No. In the quality of the shrimp?
Yeah, or when you're cooking this?
No, it just depends on what your personal preference is. I like to cook with these just because they're the extra large ones, so I feel like you get a lot more meat for the amount of effort that goes into detailing them. But really is going for whatever's cheapest and whatever fits your budget, because you're going to get a high quality protein regardless of the kind that you choose. This recipe can also work great with any other seafood. Scallops would go wonderful. If you like something like a whitefish like cod, that would also be great. Salmon works well. You can always just bake the salmon and then add it in after. You can really adapt it to suit any type of seafood if shrimp really isn't your thing. Just going to let this cook for a few more minutes, and I'm going to check on our quinoa, which is still cooking.
So if somebody has a fish allergy, is there something else that they could add to that besides fish?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are a vegetarian, for example, and you don't eat any meat, you're already getting a lot of protein because of the quinoa, and because there's also chickpeas in this salad as well, which I'll show you in a moment. So it's already high in protein, but if you did want to add that extra bit of meat protein, I mean, not deli turkey, but turkey breast would be great. You could slice it into chunks. I really like ground turkey. I put that in everything, especially because red meat, for a lot of people, has been cut out of their diet due to dietary restrictions. So turkey is a really great alternative because you can get it ground, you can get it in a breast, you can get it sliced. That would be my options. But even without any of the meat, you have the feta cheese, you have the chickpeas, and you have the quinoa. So you have a lot of really great protein in there, making it really, really dense, that if you wanted to omit it completely, you definitely could.
And how long are you going to cook the shrimp for?
Just a few more minutes. There's a little bit of juice down here at the bottom. I'm just going to wait for that to soak up a little bit, and then we'll take them right off. I'm just going to check the quinoa.
So let's talk a little bit about another thing that we're doing is a cookbook. And we're very excited about our cookbook that will be out soon. We ask clients to give us recipes from all different types, from appetizers to desserts to main meals. The cookbook is a collaboration of all seniors in the city and some of the staff. We had to put our favorite recipes in as well. And they're going to be out probably in November, so you can start looking for that. And there are some wonderful, wonderful recipes, along with all the great things that Jennifer has put in. And Jennifer collaborated and pulled it all together. We want to thank her so much for doing such a great job. I'm so excited about the cookbook. It's going to be great.
It's going to be lovely. Everyone is super excited at the center. They want to know if their recipe's in it, if their wife's recipe is in it, if it's going to be printed, they can have a copy. It's going to be really exciting just to see that come together.
So it will be out probably, as I said, in November, and it will be for sale. So look for that, but we'll let you know. We'll put it in the newsletter.
So what we're going to do now, the quinoa is still bubbling away. I'm going to leave this on for another 2 minutes. If you look in the recipe, we leave it on for 5 minutes total, just to let everything get hot and simmer together so that the shrimp can soak up all those juices. So what we're going to do now is start preparing the arugula. Let me come around there. So I love arugula. A lot of people stick to the classic American greens, which is iceberg lettuce, which is not green, and even just spinach. But you can do a lot with all the other greens out there, and they all have a very different taste. So arugula is really fun because it kind of has a peppery kick, which works really well with the lemon in this recipe, because the lemon and pepper are a really good combination. So what we're going to do is we're going to rinse these, because as you can see, they're on the stalk and they're quite dirty. If you buy this in a bag in the supermarket, which you can, it's available in most supermarkets, they're already pre-washed. Usually they triple wash them, so they are very clean. However, when you get them from the root, you want to make sure you rinse them so you don't get any of that dirt in your salad. So Chris is doing some really fantastic
3 minutes left.
Doing a really fantastic cleaning job here. Great, and I'm just gonna break them off. And I'm just gonna tear. If you like them really thick, you can leave them really thick, but for me, I wanna just get rid of these stems because we got a lot of really good leafy stuff here. And I'm just gonna break them off.
And you're not using the root, right?
No, we're not using the root, we're just using the leaves. Sure. Cindy, would you be my lovely assistant and do that, and I'll pull
Absolutely.
the quinoa off the stove.
This is really awesome. And you can tell it's good because it has the roots on, and they say anything directly from the earth is the best for you. So I've learned a little bit from Jen. Right, Jen? Anything from the earth is good?
Yeah, if it looks like
that looks
if
good.
it looks
That's
like its
good.
name, you're doing well.
That's right.
If
So we
it
have
calls
some.
itself a fruit snack and it looks like a gummy bear, it doesn't count.
So gummy bears is out of my diet.
No.
Yeah, just take that one out. So now we're just gonna pull all the different pieces together. We have the actual arugula. We're gonna toss in our sauteed vegetables and shrimp. We're gonna throw in the quinoa, and we're gonna throw in our chickpeas and the feta cheese, and then we're just gonna mix everything together, and then we're gonna serve.
Now, is there a dressing with this, or?
Yeah,
That's
so
the
the
dressing
dressing is
she
what
made.
we made earlier. It's that olive oil and balsamic vinegar.
Okay.
Very easy to make at home, and if you make it at home, it's going to be healthier than if you buy something that's store-bought. So if it's store-bought, they add a lot of sugar to that. Your chickpeas, if you get them in a can, just drain them and then rinse them. And add them right into the salad.
And chickpeas, are they, what's a chickpea?
So a chickpea, it's a garbanzo bean. It's a type of bean. It has a lot of great protein and fiber in there. I'm just going to add those in. Adds a little bit of extra protein.
This is really looking good.
And then here's our quinoa. It should be, when it's done, it's going to look light and fluffy. I'm just going to throw some of that in there.
And you just mix it all together?
Just mix it all together. We still got to throw our feta cheese in, but then otherwise we are done.
And here are your.
Oh, our olives too. I forgot about our olives. This is another great Mediterranean kick. We're just going to drain our
I'm gonna
olives.
cut a little bit of feta cheese.
And these are already pre-pitted, so we can just toss those bad boys right in.
I hate to tell you that we're making such a mess here, but I know you're being much cleaner at home than we are being here.
It's not a
Those-
proper meal if you're not making a mess.
Sometimes it's fun to make a mess.
This smells so good.
And just throw the cheese in?
Yep, just throw the cheese in.
Alright.
That is great because it crumbles really well, so you can chop it and then just kind of smush it along with your hands.
Ooh, look at that. Cheese just smushing.
Just smush it around. Yeah, that's great.
Wonderful.
And then we're going to serve these out on plates, and then I'm going to drizzle some of the dressing over. Because if you put the dressing straight in, it's going to make it hard to keep this throughout the week. You want to do it individually so it doesn't get soggy.
And how long can you keep this for?
It'll last at least a week. If
Okay.
it's well contained, if there's a cover on it, that'll be perfectly fine.
Even with the shrimp, it'll be okay?
Yep, that'll be fine. Shrimp is already pre-cooked.
So we'll let her see the finished product.
I'm just going to...
Look at how yummy that looks.
Yeah, and that's what you got. You've got a complete meal, lots of protein, lots of fiber, and it should keep you full. Tell your friends about it.
And then once again, what is this recipe called?
Mediterranean quinoa shrimp.
Well, thank you. So we've had a lot of great ideas today. If you have a seafood allergy, you can add different things, as she said, turkey, ground turkey, or other vegetables. But this has been a delight today to cook with you. We hope it's one of our many that we'll be doing periodically to cook with seniors and teach you how to cook for one. Until next time, thank you so much, and you have a great day.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Now let's eat. Yummy.
That's good. That's a pretty good
Really
salad.
good. Yeah.